Good morning, Swami. How are you?
Good, thank you. Yeah.
Excellent. It's been a while since we've caught up, so hopefully we can just do something to kick off 2024. We talked about just karma before, and you mentioned about acquired memory and acquired karma. Now, I've got Bianca with us today, and I'd like her to ask you the question that's been on her mind for a while. And if you could, I suppose, let us know the perfect answer. Hi, Bianca. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
That's good. Could you please ask Swami your question?
Yes. Hi, Swami.
Hi.
In one of your books, you mention how important it is for us to protect ourselves from getting karma that doesn't belong to us. You give the example of when you're having a day off work or on holidays, and when you're back, you take on the karma for the things that happened while you were away. So my question is, how can we recognize when something is not our karma? And what advice could you give us to protect ourselves from other people's karma or karma that doesn't belong to us?
In this instant, it's not karma that doesn't belong. Because in your case, at your job, you're in charge of those people, aren't you? You're their head. You're paid more than they are. Therefore, it is your responsibility and it is your karma, believe it or not. So you have to make sure that if you only work, I believe you only work about 3 days out of 5, and the other 2 days you have, you're responsible for it. So what happens, it is your karma. You have a duty of care, and that duty of care is a responsibility that you've got to take on. Though, if you attend to the problem straight away, you will cut that karma. You won't take it any further. The karma that you have, or that you keep and you take to the next life, or which causes actions now in this physical life, is called kriyamana karma. That's the actions that have begun. So in your job, you've got to think, I'm paid more, I'm in charge of these people, I have to make sure I'm then a good leader, so that in my absence they will think how I think, so that they can keep it going and not get into too much problems. And then if things happen and you go back to work and because you're in the construction industry, there's something has really happened, you have to fix it there and then. Not blame anyone else. It's your responsibility, it's your duty. Because you signed the contract to be the boss, didn't you? So then it's up to you. But don't take the karma any further. Make sure that you fix the problem, smile at whoever did it, and next time make sure that problem doesn't happen again. Okay, does that help?
It does, thank you.
Was that all of your question?
Yes.
I think in the book that you read, there was a problem like, when the towers went down in the States, in New York. I was in Europe at the time, but the whole world was, it's all going to happen to us. So everyone took on as if they were there. And I had people really quite upset and crying and so stressed about it all. And really, if you weren't there, it's got nothing to do with you. If it had been your karma, you would have been there. You see? But in your case, that's different.
So, Swami, can I expand on Bianca's question? The best way to handle it is to take action now.
Absolutely.
Why?
Because your reaction is critical to whether you will carry the karma or not.
So if you let it fester and wait and wait, it just grows. So then you are taking on that karma.
Yes, that's right.
So if you act on it straight away, it doesn't have to be your karma, because you're actually putting a building block in place for the work environment. So would training the staff help? Or is
Yeah,
it...
you have to be a good leader, and they have to know exactly how you would think and act if they weren't there. And if there was anything really critical, I mean, I've been a boss quite a few times, if there's anything really critical, they can contact you.
Yes.
Because you're paid more, you're the boss, you're the one they go to, just even so you've got your day off.
Yeah, and there's some things that just happen for whatever reason they happen, but it's a matter of just getting the phone call or getting the email and then acting on it straight away.
Absolutely.
And I keep harping on that because a lot of people procrastinate. And when they procrastinate, they think it's going to go away, but the problem never goes away.
No, when you were saying that they take it on themselves, getting stressed, is when you're adding the karma, because your reaction is, I want it. You see that? If you fix the problem straight away and walk away, that's it, I've done it. What's the next thing we do? That is not wanting it. But you want it. You want to acquire it for yourself because it makes you feel better. Not in your instance, but I'm saying is what Joe has said. When you're procrastinating and going on like that, you want it because that gives you some sort of importance if it's in your mind or somebody else.
That comes back to ego again, doesn't it?
That is. It's just
so
the same.
No matter what happens, if you do the right thing straight away, then you're not creating a drama,
That's
which
right.
then creates ego,
That's right.
which then, okay.
Yeah.
So this is where that question, I thought that question was quite good because that's everyday life for people. They're a boss, they're a manager, and they think, I can't believe Joe did this, now I've got to fix his... And now all of a sudden it's a drama, whereas it just, as you said, smile at the person who made the mistake or is asking the question and then get on with it. And then what happens is you're opening up yourself to other business transactions that happen through the day and nothing's ever kind of sitting there still or percolating.
Yeah. And, try not to take the job home. Because someone's always there to take your position. You're not infallible.
That's true.
We talked about that's acquired karma. If you take someone else's karma and you take it onto yourself, that's not your karma, it's acquired karma. And it will have the same reaction.
So, based on that, how would you describe acquired memory?
Acquired memory is interesting because acquired memory is really ties in quite well with that, something happened at work and I wasn't there. Acquired memory syndrome is when you tell somebody something and then maybe a little while later or someone might come up to you and say, oh, did you know that Mary went so-and-so and did so-and-so? And you think to yourself, hang on, that was me. So that person you told has actually acquired that memory. Now that comes in really close to acquired karma, very close, because now you're taking on that experience as your own.
Wow.
You see, that karma is a funny thing. Karma is just action and reaction, and that's what you've done. Now acquired memory is a real thing, and so in our line of work is acquired karma. Very, very interesting. Yeah.
How can you break those, I'll call it chains, how can you break those chains to make sure you're not getting caught up in that type of...
A bit of discipline with yourself. No, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. So you don't repeat it as being, well, I don't like people repeating anyway, but you don't tell people this adventure you had that was... Like my daughter's in Europe at the moment. She contacts me about 3 times a day. And, I'm going through that with her, what she's doing. Mum, what can I do here, there, things like that. And, I could get really caught up in that, but that's her journey.
Yes.
And, I'm very pleased to see her doing that journey. Whereas normally if I was had to travel, she'd be the one with me, you see. So now she's on her own. And I could sort of say, oh, you know, thinking I'm there, I'm doing that, especially when I see she sends me photographs of bread. Yeah, so you have to be disciplined. If you want to be a yogi, you have to be disciplined.
Not everyone wants to get to that level or cannot get to that level, Swami. So how does the average person cope? Because they would say, oh, well, I don't want to be a yogi, so I can still take on stuff. And I can still take on karma. Then it's your own fault. Yep.
I had a yogi, a devotee once come to me and tell me how great a healer they were, because they were healing people. They were even better than God.
Jeez. Yep.
So the only thing I said is be careful.
Yeah.
Just be careful.
So everyday person doesn't want to be a yogi, but they should still train and practice as well.
Yeah, because, you know, you can take on something that you don't need to take on, which may be an illness or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to say, no, that's not part of me. That's not what I want.
Very good. Gail, have you got a question?
I have, Swami. So how, in your example of the Twin Towers going down, whether there's some catastrophe or even if it's just something that's happened to a member of the family or neighbour, how can we show compassion without taking their karma?
Unconditional love is the way to go. You can, you know, give them a hug and whatever you need to do in your way of showing unconditional love, but unconditional love is, that's it. You don't say, oh, I was so nice to them when Joe Bloggs died, I was so nice to them. No, you weren't. Just be compassionate and leave it.
With emotion, just getting on to expanding Gail's question a little bit, with emotion, that can be hard for some people because they feel that they've got to be all over them or all over to show this is my support, this is my support. So what you're just saying is unconditional love can be just that hug to let them know that you are there without taking on anything from that situation for them, because they will be grieving, they will be, you know, asking themselves why us or why me or whatever.
I can tell you a funny thing that happened to me in India. I became ill, so the doctor came and gave me some medication, and my guru took the medication as well, so that I wouldn't feel lonely.
Oh, nice.
So
one tablet for him,
one tablet for me. We both got better. So yeah, that's a bit more compassion than you need to show. But
I'm impressed because no one would do that for me, so
yeah.
Bernadette, you have a question?
Yes, I was just thinking about family karma study, and is it different? Most of us are not aware of why we're born into a particular family or whatever. So is it more complex in terms of the consequence, you know, especially for children, not really, as children you're not responsible, or are you? And so there are a lot of things that can happen in a family that create, you know, for example, say a couple of my brothers, you know, fought bitterly when they were young. Anyway, one of them has grown up, or they're both grown up, obviously. Once, one of them saying that was in the past, the perpetrator, if you like, the bully, he was saying that was in the past. The one who was bullied has sort of come to terms with it, but he still feels very hurt by that action. It happened when they were young, before they were 12, you know, or like it went on, but it was happening from an early age. How does that karmic relationship between
that's a problem, because that's karma brought in from a previous life.
Yeah.
And they were fighting, and if they don't resolve it, I mean, the perpetrator has resolved it. It would appear that you've said he's fine. The other one hasn't. So what will happen if he doesn't resolve it in this life? It'll go on, it'll come back in the next life.
For both of them, they will cross paths again.
Yeah. And even if it's not both of them as such, those entities, it will be another entity with that problem
I'm with you.
that will come together. Yeah, because the vibration will pull it in. Yeah.
May I ask another question on that? So if the one that was bullied has approached the other,
Yeah.
and then there's no conversation happening. This one has to resolve it through a separate me to say,
Yeah.
you don't actually have to do it. But he just has
No,
to come
he's-
to some type of peace with.
The perpetrator has tried.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He's tried,
Okay.
and if he can't do it, he can't do it. As he says, it's in the past.
Yeah.
We
Yes.
were little kids.
Yeah.
I'm
not owning it, so
No.
no longer.
Well, he's done with it.
Yeah.
He's realised he was a bully to his brother, and that.
Yeah.
And it happens in families
Absolutely.
all the time.
Mm.
Yeah.
So Swami, does he,
Thank you.
because the perpetrator who's trying to end it, does it end in his next life? Because he's tried?
Yeah.
Or
No, he's done the action.
He's done. Okay.
The reaction was from someone else, but his reaction is, okay, I'll finish with it now.
Mhm.
Yeah. Because you can't control anyone else's thoughts
No.
or, views on stuff.
No.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions at all?
Is that it?
Sorry, I have another one.
Yeah.
So, is the acquired memory more imprinted if someone is emotional about? So, when emotions are brought in to one's perspective about circumstances, does that make it a sort of deeper or more difficult memory to release?
An acquired memory.
Hmm.
Well, someone who's acquired the memory probably doesn't want to release it.
Right.
There are people who say, I've been sexually abused. No, and it hasn't happened at all.
Yes.
It's acquired because they've heard it, seen it, and television, whatever, and they've taken it.
Yeah.
Probably not from a specific person even. They've just acquired this because,
Swami, is it possible, based on that the person has felt that they've been involved? So although they're acquiring that memory and they're taking it on, is it because they had such an emotional connection to that?
No, it's because they want to
time?
be important. I had someone telling me that they'd been sexually abused and they had no signs at all, auric field, nothing. And, I had to say to them, you haven't been.
Yeah.
And finally we got it out, no.
No.
So, you can't do those things.
So finishing off, Swami, based on the karma and acquired memory, what is the best book you've got that would probably touch on that subject more than the other ones?
I do give something on karma in Why Am I? But I give it easy so you can, I don't give you the names of the karma because I don't always believe in the Sanskrit names because that will, people's ego goes out of the roof when they, they start sprouting it in Sanskrit. Well, why? We're Western, you can say it in English. It's easy for our whole psyche to understand it.
So how many layers are there of karma? Like if you're really studying it...
There's three main ones. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think I've spoken, I know I've lectured on it quite a lot, but I think I've actually
I agree. I think
spoken
there's
about
something.
it on a podcast.
Yeah.
So if people look back at the podcast on karma, that might help them. Yeah.
That's good. Well, I think we'll finish it there, Swami. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of the Teachings of Samata. For further information regarding these teachings with Swami Durgananda and the products, please check out the website below. To follow along with this journey, please subscribe for more. And thank you. We hope to see you again soon.